We're in a bit of a valley right now as far as new pony stuff is concerned. A new generation is 3 months old already, and we're still several months out from the first season of G5 when it starts streaming on Netflix later this year. So I rewatched A New Generation for the first time since it came out, and I noticed something cool enough that I put together a sloppy 4-minute essay on something you're probably already aware of since you clicked on this video. Unicorns got me feeling some sort of way. Maritime Bay is nice and cozy, and Zephyr Heights has this cool modern aesthetic to it, but the unicorn culture and properties of Bridalwood Forest has me really excited for what they could potentially hold for G5 going forward. People like listicles, I don't know, so here's 3 reasons why I'm suddenly excited about unicorns. Firstly, I want to talk about Alphabettal as a whole. Maybe it's because the video you're listening to was written by a horse who enjoys fun and games more than life itself, but the idea that this authority unicorn figure has a history of wagering valuable items on games of skill is just so rad to me. That DDR scene is one of the coolest sequences in the entire movie, and I cannot wait to see where this character goes as this sort of barkeep game master archetype. I also love this added characterization of unicorns as being just intensely superstitious creatures. Even though that mayonnaise joke was tired and overused within a week of the movie coming out, it's a neat gag that could actually be used to reinforce this overarching theme of prejudice the new movie was going for. Not to get all 3rd grade essay on you, but just to make sure I wasn't talking out of my own butt, I actually googled the definition of the word superstition, part of which describes it as a belief or practice resulting from ignorance or fear of the unknown. That sounds an awful lot like prejudice to me. I mean, the movie has an entire song dedicated to debunking the notion they were taught as kids that other pony types were just terrible, horrible, no good, very bad people. I'm really excited to see how the show might choose to use this mostly harmless character trait as a tool to explore these other harmful beliefs that each of the species is going to have to unlearn after years and years of holding on to them at face value. And if by some slim margin you're here to bemoan the fact that your horse show might have the audacity to tackle more progressive or woke ideas, I'm not having any of that. When I live in an age where I'm blocking people on Twitter every month for posting a picture of a certain blonde female horse who represents one of the most evil ideologies of the last century, I think further discussion is warranted. Lastly, I wanted to discuss this idea that Izzy mentions a couple of times in the movie, this concept of something called luminescence. This idea that unicorns have an exclusive ability to read the emotional aura of other ponies. On top of this being a really dope concept in general, there's a lot of storytelling potential here just waiting to be tapped into. I'm going to use an episode of Friendship is Magic here just to illustrate my point. Consider the season 4 episode Philly Vanilli, one of my all-time favorites. Fluttershy just absolutely adores singing, but she's mortified at the idea of anybody watching her do it. A few story beats later, and she's found an excuse for her to sing with one of her favorite acaponi groups, long past the point of it being necessary for her to help cover up for Big Mac. What makes this so cool is that it's clear that Rarity knows long before Fluttershy even does that she's more in love with the idea of performing than she ever thought she was capable of. Then there's the scene near the end where Rarity tips her hand that she knew the whole time about Shy's feelings, and Fluttershy has this really powerful moment of recontextualization about her own fears and desires. Now imagine that instead of Rarity's explanation, they kept Shy and the audience in the dark for the first 2 acts. Then when the rest of the gang asks how Rarity can be so sure about how she feels, we cut to a POV shot as she looks over at Fluttershy just to find her beaming like the sun. What a wild payoff that would be. There's a ton of ways this innate ability that all unicorns possess could be used to fashion some really memorable character moments. Moments on par with what made me fall in love with the show in the first place. Color me intensely curious. I'm sorry this rant had to be in a sloppy slideshow format, but there's just a lot to be really, really excited about right now, and I cannot wait to see what they come up with.